Are you looking for an athletic scholarship? You're in the right place. This is the Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship Podcast, the longest-running podcast on recruiting and athletic scholarships. We're here to help your family navigate the recruiting road all the way to an athletic scholarship. He's a recruiting expert and a dad of 2 college athletes. He has a wealth of experience to share. Here's Recruit Me CEO, Brent Hanks.
Welcome to episode 510 of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast. Episode 502 through 509 have been covering the 7 steps to an athletic scholarship from the recruit-me.com website. This week I'm going to skip the last step, step number 7, make your school choice wisely, and give you our family's background in recruiting and a look at both of my sons' college experiences as both of them played college baseball for 4 years apiece. This episode is triggered by my youngest son's college graduation last Saturday. The realization that both boys are headed out into their own world has hit. It's hard to believe that both school and sports started back in 2004 as Parker started kindergarten and soccer and t-ball. Sutton started in 2008 with school and also with soccer and t-ball. So 18 years of teachers' meetings, music concerts, field trips, yellow bus rides, art shows, and then junior high sports, school dances, award ceremonies, and then the transition to high school and high school classes in sports, finals week, driver's ed, girlfriends, proms, ACT testing, and high school graduation. Then college came, and 4 years of a new world, dorm life, new friends, and new experiences. Sports brought new teammates, travel, hotel life, and the ups and downs of competition. It's hard to believe how fast almost 2 decades of raising 2 sons goes by. That's said by every parent. Like most student athletes and their family, the competitive sports portion of their lives comes to an abrupt halt, sometimes earlier than you expected it to. Well, as of Wednesday, May 6, 2025, our family's competitive sports adventures ended. Parker, my older son, had his college baseball career ended on May 21st of 2022, as Parker's Northwestern Wildcats defeated Minnesota 8-5. Parker last pitched the night before to record his first and only save of his 4 years of pitching for Northwestern. Then Sutton, my younger son, had his last game for the Columbia Cougars on April 29th here in 2026. The Cougars lost in their conference tournament, 4-3 to Williams Baptist in the American Midwest Conference Tournament. The reason I said the date, May 6th, earlier was because since Sutton's team did not get an automatic spot in the NAIA Regionals, even though they won the conference season championship, they could get an at-large bid. But they didn't get into the regional field. So sadly, the season and Sutton's career was over. With both of the boys ending of high school baseball, it was a little easier since both had worked their recruiting plan and both had signed to play baseball in college. Sutton packed up in August of 2022, and his fall practice started on September 1st of 2022. The reason I remember the date is that I have pictures on my phone of him being in the hospital with a broken left collarbone. About 1 hour into his first college baseball practice, he dove for a fly ball in the outfield, and snap. He was headed to the ER in the head coach's car with the Cougars head coach. Lori and I got a phone call and got the news. I called my uncle that lives in Columbia, and he went and sat with Sutton until I drove the 2.5 hours to meet them at the hospital. So Sutton's college baseball career had an inauspicious beginning. He couldn't practice all fall and was actually released from his medical leave a few days after the team's last inter-squad scrimmage. Sutton was able to start hitting and throwing throughout the winter, and the spring season practice started in January of 2023, with the first game on February 4th, 2023. Sutton, as a freshman, was used as a pinch and courtesy runner throughout the season. In the NAIA level, the coach can have a courtesy runner for the catcher and the pitcher. The Cougars were supposed to open the 2023 season at College of the Ozarks, which is near Branson, Missouri, and only 30 minutes from where we live. But there was a small snow and ice storm. But in Columbia, 3 hours north, the weather was cold but playable. In Sutton's first and second game that day, he scored in both the games. Sutton got into 23 games, got 1 at bat, scored 8 runs, and had 2 stolen bases in the team's 40-win and 15-loss season for the Cougars. The Cougars won the AMC Conference Tournament and went 2-2 in the regional, missing out on the national tournament. Sutton's 24 season, the team won 39 games and lost 16. They shared the AMC season championship and made the regionals again. Sutton got into 35 games, scored 13 runs, got 4 hits in 5 at-bats, with 2 doubles and 4 RBI and 2 stolen bases. Sutton's junior year in the 2025 season, the team won a school record 43 games and lost 11, and went 31-5 in the conference. They lost in the finals of the conference tournament championship, and the season was extended with a national berth. The Cougars traveled to Kingsport, Tennessee, beat the number 2 seed in the regional, and then the number 1 seed, but then lost 2 games in a row to the number 1 seed, ending the season. Sutton got into 41 games and started 1 game. He got 9 at-bats, scored 29 times. You may have noticed that Sutton didn't get many at-bats or regular playing time. Each year he played behind 3 all-conference outfielders, and 1 was named an All-American. His freshman year, 2 of the outfielders were granted an extra year because of the previous COVID season cancellation. Each loss at the end of Sutton's first 3 seasons were in a regional, and they were bittersweet, but not the end. I did ask Sutton if he wanted to play his senior year. I wanted him to know that he shouldn't feel obligated to play for me or his mom, and I wanted him to play for himself. He didn't hesitate to play his senior year. He felt he had an opportunity to earn more time on the field and in the batter's box. He felt a drive to finish what he had started and a drive to earn more playing time. He was scheduled to graduate with his undergrad degree in finance in May of 2026. Finishing his academics and his baseball were now meshed together. As the 2026 season started, there were 3 outfielders vying for a center field spot. The left fielder and the right fielder were returning starters. Sutton got to start the second game of the season and got 2 RBI in the win. The next 2 games he didn't get an at-bat, but the team was headed to a weekend series, and he called and thought he was going to get a start. But then he called back the next day and had the flu, so he missed the next 2 games. The team was trying to find a center fielder, a first baseman, and a second baseman. Sutton got a start in the outfield and got a hit and scored a couple runs. Then, 4 games later, Sutton got the start in center field again. On his first at-bat and his first swing, he fouled off a pitch over the backstop, and he fell to the ground. He was holding his left shoulder. On the follow-through, his left shoulder separated quickly and then popped back into place. Sutton is not the type to come out of the dugout, so we didn't know much about what had happened. After the game, he thought he had just strained his left shoulder. He visited the orthopedic clinic the next day, and they didn't do an MRI, and they wanted to do some rehab exercises for 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks, it wasn't much better. So now the MRI confirmed that he had separated the shoulder, and there was still bruising inside the shoulder, and he had torn part of his labrum. Surgery was scheduled for May 19th. He scheduled that after his graduation and after his season would be over. The realization that his college and competitive baseball and sports career was over on the field hit hard. The Cougars coaching staff was great by telling Sutton and Lori and I how sorry they were for his injury. Sutton continued to go to practice and to travel to conference away games with the team. They let him and some of the other injured players continue to be part of the team. Lori and I also traveled to most of the rest of the games, both home and away. With it being his last season, we wanted to support the team and see him and some of his teammates' parents that we had spent the last 4 years with. Right before Easter, Lori and I brought Sutton's dog home, Leia, to our house because Sutton's apartment was getting worked on for 2 or 3 days. Leia and I were in the backyard, and she was running around enjoying our fenced backyard. The neighbors' dogs came out in their yard, and I was afraid Leia would jump over the short 5-foot fence. So I tried to stop her as she ran by at full speed. She's a 35 to 40-pound athletically built dog. She hit my left arm, and I heard a crick. My left bicep tendon tore. I did stop her, though, took her into the house, and took some Tylenol and put some ice on my arm. I went to the orthopedic clinic on Monday after Easter, and then had an MRI the next day, and then surgery on the next Monday. So now both Sutton and I are on the IL, the injury list. Lori and I decided not to go to the regular season's last 2 games. They were non-conference, and Sutton wasn't going to be playing, and the conference tournament was the next week. On the day of the last game, Sutton called to tell us that the trainer had released him to be able to pinch run for the conference tournament. He asked what we thought, and we said for him to use his own good judgment. So during the game that night, Lori started getting texts from some of the teammates' mothers, and they said that Sutton was pinch running in the game. So since we weren't there, we watched the game online. He scored 2 runs in the game and tagged up on a fly ball to go from second to third. They said the third base coach was yelling, "No head-first slides." So as the Cougars headed into the conference tournament as the number 1 seed, they knew they needed to win the tournament to get an automatic bid to the NAI regional tournament. It was exciting to see Sutton back in uniform and getting to finish his career on the field and not just as an injured player. The Cougars did not play well in their first game and lost 8-4. The next game they beat the number 2 seed 15-5, and then the next day they lost 4-3 to end the season, and were now hoping for that at-large bid that would be given next Wednesday. Sutton got to pinch run in his last 2 games. It was hard to know how to feel after the loss. Everyone was hoping the Cougars weren't done, but also knew the chances were low to get a bid. To make us feel better, the Columbia College graduation was in between the last game and the regional announcement. On Saturday, May 2nd, we got to celebrate Sutton's academic accomplishment of completing his undergraduate degree in finance in 4 years and being a student athlete all 4 years. We had a dinner the night before graduation with Sutton and his fiancée Kaylee, Lori and I, my parents, and Parker came in from Chicago. The 10 a.m. graduation ceremony was well organized, and Sutton's accomplishment was proclaimed as he walked across the stage, shook the Columbia College president's hand, got his diploma, the folder was actually empty, and posed for his triumphant picture. We took him to lunch after more pictures, and Lori and I then reminisced all the way home. The Cougars didn't receive a regional bid, so with a letdown, Sutton texted and sadly said no more games. For him, no more team practices, workouts, meals, meetings, bus rides. For Lori and I, no more road trip or home game hotels, meals with other players' parents, disagreeing with umpires and coaches, packing our folding chairs, hand warmers, blankets, and coats, and catching an hour here or there with Sutton after the game. Sutton made us proud on and off the baseball field. He not only competed on the college baseball field, but he competed in the classroom. He earned academic all-conference his sophomore, junior, and senior years. Because we, Lori and I, had been through the last game scenario with Parker back in 2022, we haven't felt too much angst with Sutton's career ending, but there is definitely some. Sutton, being the youngest, does make you reflect even more. Parker's career taught us that you need to be at least thinking about the end of a sports career. The end of a sports career is actually the beginning of a new career. And that is the main goal of going to college classes and playing your sport in college. Another thing we learned was to be prepared for an early ending. Parker, like Sutton, had injuries that took playing time away. Parker missed the first month of both his sophomore season and his senior season. Plus, as he was about to return his sophomore year, COVID canceled the season. COVID wasn't on our bingo card, but injury, coaching changes, schools closing, or canceling teams and rules changes should now be on your bingo card. So be prepared. The student athlete shouldn't dwell on the ending that could come at any time, but they should at least know about the possibility. Lori and I were able to travel to 90% of the boys' college games, and we could watch online or on TV or listen to the rest. We learned that going to or watching games could be the last pitch or the last at-bat any time. Sutton's shoulder dislocation was proof. Parker had left elbow trouble, which was his throwing arm, that ended up being a hairline crack in his elbow, but he was able to treat it without surgery and was able to pitch through his senior year, except for the first month. As I have said in the past, the Athletic Scholarship episodes, Parker and Sutton took different paths to get to college and in their college profiles, but in the long run they both experienced competitive baseball at levels that they could succeed in, and they both fit their academic wants and needs. They both met teammates, classmates, coaches, professors, fans, and alumni that will be friends and contacts for years and years. Their preparation during their recruitments helped them to make the right fit choice and to be as comfortable as they could be as they entered their classes and the locker rooms. I know as a parent and as an ex-high school student athlete and as a manager of a D1 basketball team in college and as a business owner, I appreciated the opportunities that Parker and Sutton allowed Lori and I to participate in. I appreciated that they trusted me enough to play their sports and for me to coach them and for me to help them use college and high school sports to learn about themselves, about teamwork, about winning and losing, about how to be coached and how to be pushed by someone else and to push themselves. Thank you to all the teammates and all the coaches that supported Parker and Sutton. Thank you to all the players' parents for all the memories. And thank you to Parker and Sutton for the ride. Next week, episode 511 will cover Step 7 of the 7 Steps to an Athletic Scholarship from the Recruit Me 3.0 Athletic Scholarship System. Step 7, the last step, is make your school choice wisely. I invite you to like and subscribe to the Athletic Scholarship Podcast on your favorite podcast app, or schedule to go onto the recruit-me.com every Tuesday to listen to every new episode. Also on the recruit-me.com website are many of the past The Athletic Scholarship Podcast episodes. You can also get your own copy of the Recruit Me 3.0 Athletic Scholarship System on the recruit-me.com website. Invest $39 in your own DIY recruiting plan. The Recruit Me 3.0 system will save you time, money, and anxiety in your recruitment. Thank you for listening to the world's longest running recruiting education podcast, and I'll see you next week.